Coffee with Maria back. Hello, everybody from the Netherlands with a really typical Dutch mug, drinking coffee at 5 p.m. Yes, it can happen. And yes, I can sleep after having all this coffee, but it's my last coffee of the day. Yeah, and I'm used to do that with experts to talk about relevant topics like today's topic, the who and the how, buyer persona and customer journey. What? We know about this, maybe ring some bells, because if we're in business, we need to talk about who is our customer and what's the journey, what's the path and the step-by-step to get to us from a complete stranger to a happy client, hopefully. So for those who are joining us for the first time, my name is Maria, co-founder at 7 Days to Go. Together with more than 40 experts, we are helping entrepreneurs on a mission to make things right since the very beginning, to be there around your entrepreneurial challenges and basically get things done with the help of experts. We have over 10 different categories, and digital marketing is a really relevant one for us, and I think for every business owner. So we have different experts on digital marketing. Today, we're going to be having David Escandon. He's joining us from Colombia, and my country, by the way. We have some experts in Colombia, but also here in the Netherlands and basically in different countries. And David is going to be talking about the importance of buyer persona and customer journey, and more than the relevance, like really how to define this and what is it used for your business. This is live for a reason, so I really invite you to grab your favorite drink and join us with the questions. It's a live Q&A. I will be guiding the conversation and looking at your comments. Post everything via comments so we can see what are your challenges around this topic, and how are you dealing with defining the who and the how. With this little introduction, let's get started. So I'm curious about what David is drinking today. So David, welcome.
Hello, Maria.
There you are.
Thank you for joining live stream 7 Days to Go. How are you?
Great. I'm curious about how are you doing, first of all. What time is it for you in Colombia now?
It's 10 in the morning.
So decent time to grab a coffee together.
Perfect time to get a cup of coffee. Actually, I'm going to prepare it with my French press right now.
Boom! Mine is over, but it's really pretty as well.
Colombian premium coffee. So I'm just going to...
That's amazing. Go ahead so we can have our black coffee. You're going to have black coffee or cappuccino?
Black coffee and cappuccino.
Perfect, both. So first of all, a little introduction about yourself, and then we get started with the questions that we have prepared today on, what is buyer persona, customer journey, and what is the use of all that knowledge into our companies or startups and businesses.
Okay, I'm David Escandon. I have been an entrepreneur for about, 12 years, 13 years. Actually, I was a co-founder at 7 Days to Go a couple of years ago. So I have a lot of experience and background in entrepreneurship and also in marketing. I work in one of the world's largest media agencies. So I have quite a lot of experience in digital marketing and also startups and entrepreneurship.
So what I really like about David, as he mentioned, is that he has been not only my co-founder, and we have done a lot of business together in Colombia and also here in the Netherlands, but also he has the experience of working with corporates and big corporates now that he's working at a media agency. So he can tell you exactly how to grow, what is the difference for, of course, a starting entrepreneur to advertise, to make a media plan, to talk about digital marketing, and how that eventually is changing and shifting as you grow, right? So all the spectrum will be covered here. I think that a really common thing that happens when you launch your new business is to define who's your target. You can, of course, write it down in a business plan and say, yes, these are my customers. But to really see what happens, when it comes to implementation and to putting yourself out there as a business owner is the real deal, right? Like how to define it and how to validate that initial idea, and also how to see how your customer is going to go through a journey on, as I explained, from being a total stranger to become your customer and stay your customer, hopefully, right, to remain your customer. So let's start with defining some concepts. So first of all, like how to define Like what is buyer persona, first of all, and how to define it?
Okay, the buyer persona is the way to get to know or to define who's your ideal client. Okay, to know their profile, to know their interest, to know their demographics, and also gather all the possible information on that persona to create this fictional character where you just have all the description, all the status, all of their pain points, on all the information you can have to make this person come to life. This will be the person that will be getting your product, that will know your product, that will have issues with your product, that will contact you back if they have anything to tell you or to comment about what you're offering, about your brand, your product, or your service.
I'm curious about if people who are watching now already have that buyer persona like set, or at least the idea of who's your buyer persona, or if you're already like, I know what you're talking about, David. I see here Peter Brown. Hello, Peter. So I would like to know what's the stage, like what's your, if you have already a buyer persona defined, or if you're still feeling like, I'm not sure about it. As David says, it's something that you first of all think, and like, you think about your ideal buyer persona, but like, how can you land it? Can you have more than one buyer persona?
Yes, of course, you can have more than one buyer persona, as well as you can have more than one client. Yeah, you just need to define different archetypes, yeah, of people who may be getting your products or your services. So you can have as many buyer personas as you need, that you think or know that they will be your potential clients.
Okay, so let's land it to an example, I think. So if we have here at Expert Pool, and I will check also at other people's person. Here we have Energy of the Moon. So that's a nice name, by the way. So to say, I have set up 4 personas, but I'm in a sort of like sorting now what is the next phase, after you have these 4 personas. It's normal to have the dilemmas about, like who basically is your final persona, or who to go for, because especially like when you have a small business, you cannot, expand your marketing resources and your validation resources around many people that can potentially be your client, right? So let's land it to an example. Like if I'm having, I don't know, a bakery, let's say, let's put it really simple. If I have a bakery, a coffee shop, I can say, well, my ideal client will be, let's land it to an example, to have different buyer personas and to see how can actually digital marketing help you to sort out, who is your buyer persona in the end, like who you want to really focus on. So okay. how can we land it from this example to digital marketing as validation tool?
Okay, so let's suppose that we have a bakery in the Netherlands. So first you need to gather all the possible information on your target audience. Well, there's a difference between the target and the audience. Yeah, because usually the target is defined through some demographic characteristics. Yeah, for example, their age and their gender. But a lot of people may fit on those specific demographics, even though they're really different kind of people. Yeah, they may live in the same city, they may live in the same country, they may have the same age, but they could also may have a lot of different interests. Yeah, so you need to know every type of client, yeah, based on their personality, yeah, on their pain points, on their dreams, on their fears, on their values, yeah. And after you have gathered all that possible information, you need to characterize them. So as I told you, the persona is a fictional character. It doesn't have to exist, but it may gather like a group of people that can be inside your client base. So you also have to determine the demographic. I'm not saying that it is not important. You need to know where they live, what's their age and their gender, but you also need to add them some additional information. For example, their relationship status. It's different to target people or to communicate to people which are single or getting a divorce or have children. Yeah, also it is important to know about their education degree. Yeah, what have they studied? Do they still are they still at the university? What are their dream jobs? And so in that way, you know how your product may help them to fill those needs. Yeah, to fill those gaps. Yeah, to know how your product or your service may integrate into their lives.
Mhm. Okay, so of course, from targeting position or like from demographic definition of who is your potential client, you know, or your ideal client, you're landing it into way more features and way more characteristics that will really help you to even name it. I have seen a lot of business owners naming their buyer personas. So we have a Frank, and we have here we have something like Class, Jan, Jan
Exactly.
Willem, you know.
Exactly.
So
Which
you
is
have
a
these nice
single
characters,
mother,
right?
yeah, that works all day, that doesn't have time to raise their kids, so they may need to buy your, I don't know, or to
Yeah.
get food from your bakery. Yeah, because I don't know, it's more nutritional.
Okay. So let's say we have, like, you know, like mentioned here in the chat, we have several buyer personas, we have defined them. So how we can use digital marketing to go closer and validate who's actually the right fit for you, you know, or like if you're actually talking to the right people. You can be in the neighborhood where you have a bunch of single people, or opposite, like a lot of families, you know, and then you say like, oh, I want to target single people in a neighborhood that is full of mostly people who are I don't know, families, for example. So how do you use marketing as a tool to validate that, to see or to run pilot campaigns or like communications targeting the different buyers personas, so you can see what's the outcome and what will give you like right market feedback?
Yes. Well, marketing is the means of communication, yeah, brand communication. So you can use those buyer personas and also know all the different stages through the customer journey of these personas to send them kind of messages depending on the stage of the consumer journey where they are, and also the time of person where they belong. So it is important to know where they are, you know, to have clear all the information, to send them different messages, and to know where and how to impact them. This will make the digital marketing strategy or communication strategy a lot more precise.
Okay, so where they are, and where, yeah, we're talking about journey, right? So let's first talk about what is customer journey and why is it important. You just mentioned like it's so I can be relevant and see where I'm meeting you as a brand or, you know, as a business. But let's start with the basic as well, because also it's our mission to educate people on the basic concepts of marketing. And we do know that digital marketing is full of slang and terms.
And
So let's talk about, first of all, what is customer journey, and then how, in this example of the bakery, we can place our buyer personas to see how to validate that with the right messaging, and, you know, like even talking about funnels and stuff. Let's talk about it.
well, this customer journey is self-explanatory. Is all the process and path that a potential customer have to go through to purchase your product. Okay, so traditionally, customer journey has been pictured or represented in a funnel, yeah, where you have a high funnel stage where you can get or deliver your message to a lot of people to know about your brand. This is usually known as the awareness phase, where your goal is just to get people to know about your brand. Okay, just communicate their brand and reach as much people as you can. That is what we
Mhm.
call the upper phase of the funnel. Actually, I'm just going to draw it to make it a little bit more clear. Let me know if you can see. This
So
is how
awareness is hello, nice to meet you.
and just an inverted triangle, you know. So we
Yeah,
have the um, top of the funnel, yeah, which can you see it?
yeah,
Okay.
I got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see it
Where
here.
you
Yeah.
try to deliver your message to the largest amount of people inside your target. Yeah, and its main objective is to people to know what your brand.
Is
Okay.
about. Uh-huh.
Also the mid funnel.
Yes, there you are.
Exactly.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The mid funnel is the stage when people starts to consider your brand. Yeah, they start their research online. They use Google to know about also your competition, about the products of your feature, and in this stage, they make this decision. They decide which product to get. It could be online. It also could be in a physical store. For example, you have this huge stand where you have different brands displayed. That's the moment where the potential client gets to decide which one he's going to get.
Okay.
And also the bottom of the funnel, the lowest part in this inverted triangle, where the client makes an action when they finally go and get your brand or your product or whatever action you need them to make. It could be get a lead from them, make them subscribe to your service, make them subscribe to your newsletter. That depends on your business goal or the business model. Okay, so in this phase, you have to display special actions to guide the potential client to and this goal, yeah, to complete the objective or to close the sale, for example.
Okay. So when you were mentioning before that it's important not only to have the buyer persona, but also match that buyer persona into the stage of that funnel that you just described. You were talking about their path, like the customer journey. So basically, I meet you where you are. If you meet, and let's make it again the example of the bakery. If we're testing our buyer's persona to, sell fresh bread from a bakery, how would you translate that depending on where they are in the funnel? So let's match, the different stages with the buyer persona.
Buyer persona. Okay, so let's suppose that we have, I don't know, Carl, who is 33-year-old male. He's single and he lives in downtown Amsterdam. He works in a, I don't know, WeWork or any co-working space.
Yeah.
He has his own company and he doesn't have a lot of time to have lunch, for example. So he may have, I don't know, different options for his lunch. He may use delivery apps. He may have a walk around the neighborhood and discover new places where we have something to eat. So consider all this factor about this persona. This is the like the story you're telling about this character. And when you know about this, their routines or how they life works, you start getting ideas on how to target them. Yeah, maybe if they use a lot of delivery apps, maybe you should be also in these apps to get to this kind of clients. Yeah, or maybe what he used to do is to walk around the neighborhood. Maybe you should be, I don't know, placing billboards or handling flyers or making different actions depending on how the business works. But that's when you get to know your client, where they are, how they behave.
Okay, so basically you match where they are, how they behave, and you start validating this, right? So if we're thinking about using advertising or like doing Facebook campaigns to see how can I find and identify this type of buyer persona in my location for my business, then what is the way to do it? Because you mentioned that there are like awareness campaigns, there are like, more conversion campaigns. Let's talk a little bit about how you can actually test that, instead of going like guessing or having like to run your business for 3 years so you already know who's coming to your bakery, right? So yes. What's the way to test this and to validate these personas based on what you just mentioned?
Okay, you will need first to use your own data. Okay, so know your database. If you have emails, you have their names. Yeah, you can also have point programs, for example, to get information about your clients and know first who is buying your products, before marketing them.
Mhm.
Using databases. Also, if you have a website, you can use Google Analytics. That tool also can give you some insights about your audience, about their interests, about their age, gender. Also, if they're currently in the market and what are they looking to buy right now. It's also have a really nice feature that is called live events. You can also know if the visitors on your website are currently going through one of their special life stages, as marriage, or they're looking for a program in a university. Yeah, it can give you some insights on what they're doing and what do they want right now, and also about their age and gender. Yeah, you can also use the analytic tools of your social media accounts. It can also give you some insights about who your potential clients are. And when you have this, you can also use some strategies as retargeting. You can place the pixel, the Facebook pixel or the Google Ads pixel in your website to
Mhm.
give more info, to make lookalike models, to reach people that are in the same situation or similar to people that you know that are currently visiting your website or buying your products.
Okay.
So in
Clear.
this way,
I know that you
really,
also mentioned here a lot of
yeah,
slang from advertising world, so I'm also curious who is watching now that is advertising or is familiar with these different types of campaigns. Because of course we can test it, and that's the good news about digital marketing, that we can test everything from really low budget. People think, oh my God, I need to have a lot of money to start advertising. That's not true, and I think that the sooner the better. That when it comes to defining your buy, like who is your client, based on the buyer persona methodology and based on a clarity on their path as their journey, the better. Of course, if I will tell you today this is actually the guy or the girl who's going to get your products, and I tell you I can get this done this week, you will be like, okay, where do I pay? So I don't need to go around guessing and seeing what clicks, right? What matches.
exactly. Data is
Yeah.
not to guess, but to use all your data to
Mm-hmm.
optimize your budget, to be more effective on your campaigns, and also with the messages that you're delivering to your clients.
Yeah. Okay, I'm curious because we almost have to wrap it up, about questions from the audience to, of course, hop on and tell us what's your dilemma around that. What is the current challenge that you're facing now when defining your buyer persona, or maybe even choosing from them? Sometimes you have like this buyer persona or this ideal client. You're like, yeah, it's ideal, but you need to keep it real. Huh? It's a rhyme, huh? Then you need to keep it real, and in the end decide what really works for your business, so you stop spending a lot of time and effort on marketing or like targeting the wrong people. So we have some minutes for that, so I'm curious about what you have to say there. And apart from that, I would like to also know, how can we help to go one step further? We're going to tell you what's the next step with David, because we have sorted out a lot of entrepreneurial challenges around this topic that is really important to go in depth. So stay for that, because we're going to make some announcements on what's happening after this coffee. And in terms of, like defining your customer journey, what is important, just to wrap it up, because you mentioned the different stages. I have my buyer persona. Now I want to know how my buyer persona is going to launch into a customer journey. So what do you advise when defining that customer journey in order to measure and to evaluate that journey within your company?
Ask a lot of questions about how that persona behaves. Ask a lot of questions about their fears, about what they feel and think, what they see in at their works, with their families, what they say, what they do, what they hear in the street, what they talk about, what's their position in politics, religion, anything that could give you potential info. I'm not saying that you're going to target them with those, I don't know, fields, but um, just know who they are. Yeah, as if they were a real person. They're the archetype of the person who's going to be buying your product
Yeah.
or service. Okay. Also know what they do in each of the stages. Okay. Um,
What do you
think
mean
about
by
where.
what? Yeah. What do you mean by know what they do in every stage?
Yeah. If they are on the recognition or the awareness stage, know how to reach them. The media that they consume. Can you reach them on Facebook? Can you reach them through their websites, through blogs, through podcasts? Yeah, how they're going to hear about your product. Yeah, know where to reach them. Yeah, that's really important for the awareness phase. Know the triggers or drivers that will make them get your product. Yeah, what's that special driver? What's helps them, or what do they need in life, or what had to happen to them for them to need your product.
Okay, I want to
Also,
show here one of the questions as well, so we have enough time to reply to that. From also Energy of the Moon. Let's post it there. There's one question. Sorry for the interruption. So we have enough time to reply to this question. And any other questions, let's put it there in the banner. Like we have a question that says, like, is there a good resource that helps your marketing focus? There you are. Like example, like color for age groups or type of media for income levels. Like what resources can we get to basically have that focus that you mentioned? Or like things that we can go
it's really
to.
important to know. Yes, it's
And then it's followed by
and the media that
yes.
they consume. Exactly. Colors
Yeah.
for age groups, of course. You usually divide by age. It depends
Right.
on the but it is really important to focus on all the information that you can gather. Yeah, I think age and gender and location are really precise data. It's, it used to or tends to be more exact. Yeah, but don't forget about the behavior data also.
Okay. Yeah. Also, here Peter is saying that his challenge is that he doesn't know the pain points of the buyer persona. So like we made a lot of emphasis on the importance of doing research and the importance of talking to people, basically, like validating the buyer persona by accessing your target audience. If you're already in business, you probably already have a client base or a database of prospects. So like running services, survey, or like just interview, or just grabbing coffee, it's a nice way to do it. Any other ideas about how to identify the pain points of existing buyer personas?
Yeah, there's a lot of info in the internet. You just can search about. You can perform a Google search, and you can have data on different profile of people. Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
profile of people, yes, but how to identify the pain points?
Your clients.
Yeah, what
usually
Peter means is more like how to identify the pain points of his buyer personas. Of course, there are many resources that he can take, but like what type of methodology we suggest to be able to validate those pain points.
Directly.
Yeah, I think that
also have conversations with potential clients.
Yeah, there's a whole methodology for identifying pain points, and I think that is a really good idea to host a next coffee break, on how to identify those pain points. There's a lot of information like that it says around that we can check, but we have a whole methodology and also experts dedicated to research and to market research. I think that with the time we have left, that is 1 minute, we cannot cover everything about it. But in general, our recommendation is if you already are in business, talk to people, before you go into formal research, before you create an online survey or whatever, start, seeing what type of questions are important for you to identify what's the issue, what are the struggles, what are the challenges right now just have an informal chat. So that chat can be a good exploration, what can be like a more in-depth or formal type of research to identify what's the problem that you need to solve, basically, because if you know the pains, you can solve things, right, in business, as a business owner. And with that, I want to thank everybody who was here for this half an hour. We know it's really short, and that's why we want to also take this to the next level. And we have decided with David to host our first masterclass, because we always are about coffee breaks and nice workshops and stuff. But I think that it's really important to understand the theory and to learn that theory into practice. So from the perspective of learning by doing, we have been holding already with different entrepreneurs this type of, intensive content plus action and like challenges around these topics with our experts. And this is going to be the one that we're going to launch now in June 15. We call it like digital marketing for entrepreneurs. So really we make focus on making something that is relevant for you as entrepreneurs, as small business owners that need to prioritize between doing this and many 10,000 things that you can do around your business. So we want to make it actionable and right. And for that, I thank David to put, for putting this content together for the coffee break and also for the masterclass that we have developed like as a concept to be hosted in 2 sessions of 1.5 hours each, and with an individual assignment, including expert feedback on your assignment. It's super important that in general, you don't go anywhere just to learn without implementing anything that can be immediately translated into your business. So that's why we have developed this concept of masterclass for, around digital marketing for entrepreneurs. We leave you there a 20% discount because you came to this event and you're eager to really take marketing serious. And I say marketing serious because most people are just playing around with the idea of marketing, but there's not a strategy, there's not a way to measure. There's a lot of people just around content marketing, but nothing about strategy and measurement. And in the end, getting things done with digital marketing. Anything else, David, that we want to add to that?
I hope to see you all there in the masterclass.
Yes.
It'd be really nice
and I hope
work with you.
Yeah, of course. We want to go beyond the example of the bakery and see what are you busy with and see how we can help you to really have a strategic framework for the digital marketing efforts with the help of experts. That's it. Have a really amazing week, everybody. We will take a look for the last comments. If you didn't have time to have any of your questions there replied, or you're thinking about more things that we couldn't cover during this half an hour, please post them in comments. We're going to be checking them and replying to those questions directly via comments. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Please check the event because we have limited spots for that. And we're giving you a discount also that is valid until the 24th of May. So make sure that you check it out and let us know what you think. Okay? Ciao, ciao. Have a nice week. Thank you, David, for your time again. Salud.